All right, so we did the egg puzzle on wave structure, okay? And we'll look at this in a second. I'm gonna just kind of let me just move this. Okay, I'll just move this right now. All right, so let's talk about wave structure for just a second. Right, so most of you guys did pretty good on knowing the different parts of the wave, so that's good. It is just vocabulary, so make sure you kind of are aware of that. Let me ask anybody colorblind? Okay, I usually have somebody that sometimes I have kids that are colorblind, but I'll try to label these with A, B, C as well. But I'm going to draw those three waves again. Okay, I'm going to draw these three waves again. So I'm going to draw a line first. So let's do. Oops, and just talk about what we got. So here's going to be my lines. Those lines that are kind of going through the center of the wave. Anybody remember what they're called? So I'm gonna make it this way. What was it called? The origin. Very nice. Thank you. All right. All right. So I'm gonna do. We'll make this A, B, C. I'm gonna tell you stuff that you should be able to tell me. Okay. Let's start with A. Okay. B. Okay, and C. All right, here's the stuff that you should be able to tell me, okay? When you look at waves, first you should be able to tell me every part of the wave. So you should be able to identify what a crest is, what a trough is, what the wavelength is, where the origin is, okay? And the amplitude. Questions that I could possibly ask you. I may say, give you these three waves, okay? And I may say something like, I'm gonna write all the questions first, and then I'm going to call on you guys to answer, okay? So you can volunteer to start, okay? And if not, I'm just going to call you guys. But I could ask you something like, if you are comparing these three waves, which one has the highest amplitude, okay? Don't give me answers just yet, okay? I can say highest amplitude, lowest amplitude, longest wavelength. I'm going to use the symbol for wavelength. Remember, that's lambda. It looks like an upside down Y. Okay. And I can also say the shortest wavelength. Right. I could ask you for the one with the highest frequency. Frequency looks like a V. Okay. And the lowest frequency. And I could ask you for the highest and lowest. Wait, what am I missing? What's another one that we talk about? Yes, the energy. Very nice. I'm going to put it capital E for energy. All right. So you got three waves. You got three waves. Wave A, the purple one, wave B, the red one, and wave C, the green one. Okay. So those are your three waves. I can start out calling on somebody, or somebody can volunteer if you know an answer, because you know I could come to you anyway, and tell me any of the answers you want to give me, okay? So if you know an answer, you may want to volunteer to start, because I might get to you anyway, and then you might be when you don't know.
Could I go?
Yes, you can. Who is this? Let me see. I can't hear. Who is that?
Kaya.
Okay, Kaya, what you got?
I'll do C. That's the highest.
Highest what? You can give me, tell me an answer for one of these, any of these. So these are the questions, kind of. So you tell me an answer for one of these. So which one do you want to do? Do you want to do like highest or lowest something?
Oh, okay. Highest, highest energy,
Okay, who do you think has the highest energy?
C.
C, you are correct. The highest energy is C. When I look at these, like A just kind of looks very lazy. It's just like kind of like, just a nice slow wave. C looks more intense. That one has a lot of energy. Yes. So C has the highest energy. Very nice, higher.
Wait,
Anybody else?
Miss Payton,
Yes.
what's the difference between energy and frequency?
Okay. So energy is how much is being carried by the wave. Frequency has to do with how many waves you see per second. So frequency, okay, notice that I have these, see if I can get it. Okay, notice how I have these numbers right here, okay? You see these numbers? Okay, you guys see the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, this is like seconds, okay? So when I look at this, this is saying, like for instance, this looks like about half a wave passes per second, okay? Here I can see almost a whole wave passes per second. Down here on this green one, I can see 1, 2 waves before per second, okay? So frequency is how frequently do those waves pass. Energy, we're gonna talk about that some more in just a second, is how much energy the wave is actually carrying. So if you have more waves, they can carry more energy, which is the reason why when we were doing our relationship earlier, you should have gotten that if you increase energy, then your frequency will always also increase, or the other way around. If frequency increases, energy increases, okay? If I lose frequency, then I will also lose energy, okay? All right. Hopefully that helps. And we're gonna talk some more about energy in just a second. Anybody else want to volunteer and answer?
I'll go.
Okay.
The lowest amplitude, I believe, is C.
You are correct. The lowest amplitude is C, okay? Lowest amplitude. This is C. Remember, amplitude is just from, anybody know? Very nice. It is from the origin to the crest, super tiny. Like if I do this one, it's super tiny in comparison to the other ones, or from the origin to the trough. Okay, you can do either one. Now, I didn't do a good job of drawing these, right? Because these look different. But ideally, this amplitude and this one would be the same. Okay, I didn't do a good job of drawing it. Okay, but it is way smaller in comparison to like B or A. Okay, all right. Anybody else? Yes, Sage.
A has the longest, the upside down one.
Yes, very nice. So Sage has the longest upside down Y. She is correct. What is the upside down Y?
Wavelength.
Yes, very nice. Wavelength. It has the longest wavelength. Now, wavelength, all right, is going to go from, the easiest thing to do is go from crest to crest, okay, or trough to trough, okay? But technically, it's any identical lines on the wave. So technically, I could go from here to here, but it's harder to see, right? It's easy to go from the bottom to the bottom or the top to the top. So she is correct. The longest wavelength is A. Very nice. All right. Anybody else?
Oh my gosh, wavelength BC,
Say again, one more time.
the shortest wavelength BC.
Yes, correct. And then I'll let Chuck go, and then Posey can go if you guys have another one, okay? So Nakai said that the shortest wavelength is C. Very nice. All right, that is a super short wavelength. It's just from here to here, okay? Super short, or here to here. All right.
Wait, Miss Payton,
Yes.
what's the name of that line in between crest and trough?
Going up and down or going left to right?
The origin.
Oh, the origin. Yes, 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 yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry. This black line is called an origin. What does origin mean in general, guys? It's where it starts. Okay, so this is like the beginning. Okay. All right. I think I said Chuck then Posey. So what you got, Chuck? You got one?
The highest amplitude is A.
Very nice. Chuck says the highest amplitude is A. He is correct. Highest amplitude is A. Remember amplitude on that green one, remember it was really tiny. And on this purple one up here for A, it is the biggest. It's bigger than A and B and C. Okay. So A has the highest amplitude. All right, Posey, you got one for me?
What does the V mean?
The V is frequency. So
Okay. The highest frequency would be C.
very nice. V is frequency. All right. And Posey said highest frequency is C, and he is correct. There's a whole lot more squiggly lines, okay, or waves that are passing per second, okay? So frequency is measured in hertz, okay? So realistically, and I'll show you guys a video before we close out class, okay? But realistically, we talk about frequencies all the time. Usually we think about it in terms of like radio. When you change your radio station, you're changing the frequency, okay? So that's why sometimes your radio stations go out because there's not enough waves passing. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about frequency.
So the second wave doesn't do it.
So the second wave it is still a wave. It's just not the highest or lowest in anything in this case. Yes. Correct. Yes. So Sage Trevor is saying so the lowest frequency is A, and they are correct. Okay. You only have a couple of waves, like maybe half a wave passing per second. Okay, half a wave passing per second. And A is also the lowest energy. Excellent. Okay. Lowest energy is also A. Okay. So again, one of the things that I want you guys to really understand is there's a connection with all of these. Okay. So if you notice, for instance, A had the longest wavelength, okay, but it had the lowest energy and the lowest frequency. Okay. So one of the things that you would definitely see when we get ready to test this, I'll ask you about the relationship between energy and frequency and wavelength. So as long as you remember that energy and frequency, so remember this is frequency, they are what we call, they have a direct correlation, which basically means if one goes up, the other goes up. If it stays, one stays the same, the other one stays the same. If one goes down, the other one goes down. If this one doubles, the other one doubles, okay? Or kind of, okay? Now, but wavelength is the opposite of those. So he's the only one that is opposite. So if energy goes up and frequency goes up, then wavelength goes down, okay? So let's just make sure we understand that relationship, okay? Wavelength is the only one that is opposite, okay? All right, I think that was the biggest thing. Oh, I did trick some of you guys. There was a question that said, what is the amplitude? And you guys, you're just using your head saying crest to crest or trough to trough. So I think that's really what messed people up. And I don't think it's that you didn't know what an amplitude was. It's just in your head. You're like crest to crest, trough to trough, because I do that. But crest to crest, trough to trough is a measure of what? Wavelength. Very nice. Okay. Did you get that one? And I'm gonna now the one that let me just also put this out. The one that said highest energy, I'm giving everybody credit for it. I wanted you to guess, okay? But I didn't want to penalize you for guessing. But most of you guessed right. But if you guessed wrong, I'm still going to give you credit for it. So if it said you got it wrong, even if you did guess right, don't worry about it. All right. So I'm going to save this, okay? Now I want to talk about, let's talk about the different types of radiation, specifically something that we call the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? So this picture, okay, this picture is on your Schoology and it is in your OneNote notebook, Okay, let me, whoops, I didn't mean to stop sharing. Give me 1 second.